Okay.
It's me with the dogs. The dogs are with me. This is Shasta. This is Hunter. A couple weeks ago, I wrote a piece about healthcare data being for sale. That actually ruffled a few feathers out there in the industry, and I'm here to provide a little more clarity about that particular market and what's happening with health data and why it's being sold and the purposes it'll be used for. I'm John Moore. I'm the founder of Chilmark Research, and if you like what you hear today, please click the like button and ask others to check it out as well. So what's happening in the market is that we're seeing quite a bit of activity around the selling of clinical data, primarily EHR data, to life sciences companies. And there are a number of players that have recently jumped into the market. The biggest announcement, I believe, was the recent one by a consortium of healthcare providers, 14 of them, to form Truveta, where they will combine all their clinical patient live data assets and begin providing those to the life sciences market. That's one of many that are in this market. Of course, this is nothing new. I mean, health data has been sold for decades, literally decades. Primarily it was based on claims data, prescription data, maybe some lab data. Only recently have we had the opportunity to actually use clinical data because of the adoption of EHRs that occurred as part of the HITECH Act that was passed back in 2009. Since that time, we've seen rapid growth in EHR adoption. Most people have their records in some sort of digitized format. And that has created a vast repository of clinical data of patients. This clinical data can be mined to better understand who those patients are, what diseases they're dealing with, and most importantly, particularly with these very extremely large data sets of patient data, say there's a couple of vendors that are close to 100 million patient lives in their data repository, is that now you can begin to look very discreetly at patients with very, we would call them orphan diseases or rare diseases or orphan drug development. Orphan drug development now has become a pretty hot area in the life sciences market because there's fewer regulatory hoops to approval to get an orphan drug to market. So what life science companies are trying to do is find who are those patients out there that they can recruit into a clinical trial. Today, roughly 50% of all clinical trials fail because of lack of recruitment numbers. And of 100 people contacted and asked to join a clinical trial, roughly only 20 will accept the invitation. So we have a real issue here, or at least life sciences companies have a real issue here in trying to find those patients, particularly those with rare diseases, then get them enrolled in a clinical trial and get them to see through to the end of the clinical trial. And it is the hope that these new data sets that are becoming available will help enable just that. I think this is actually great for the industry. It's always been a dream of mine that someday, once we digitize healthcare data and patient data, we can actually start to mine that data to understand what is good in terms of what's working and treatment protocols that actually provide good, efficacious care that is safe for patients, and better be able to fine tune and kind of get to that ideal of personalized medicine for the individual patient. This data and allowing life sciences companies to use the data in this capacity for developing new therapeutics, new drugs, and surveilling and watching for the efficacy and value of those drugs is what this data sharing can bring to market and help us all see better outcomes for ourselves and for our loved ones.